So, good afternoon from Amsterdam. Last week I was here on a table full of color with Regency ware, and today I'm here on a table full of color with nice statues. So these statues were made in China and they were made for export. So they were made for export to Europe. If we look in the books, there's often a lot of pieces in there, a lot of different statues. So for example, this 1991 book about the Copeland collection shows a lot of statues. I think a lot of dating in this book actually is very optimistic. So you have Famille paint statues that are put in there as Kangxi, which is not really possible because the palette didn't even exist then. Later on, figures changed and there's some Buddhas in there, but most are actually export figures. So there's a lot of figures that are either animals or European scenes. And what you see is that later on they become like this, and these date to around 1800. So we're looking at the same period as the Regency redecorated pieces of last week. And the color is no coincidence because at that point in time, color was very popular. So they would fit very nicely into those colorful interiors of the Regency period. And what you see is that around this time, chinoiserie, export porcelain from China, becomes very popular. So what you also see is, for example, very large pagodas. So in the palace of George IV, there were very large porcelain pagodas. They did not exist before 1790, something like that. So these statues, which show either gods or the Immortals, these are the 8 Immortals, and here are some beautiful ladies. So these statues are actually part of that chinoiserie grave that existed around 1800. And the colors also match the very bright colors that you see on the Regency redecorated porcelain. And that's because that was the taste. So a lot of people said they were modern. They're certainly not modern. I can understand they look kind of modern with these bright colors, but they are actually 230 years old. So there's a good book about these kind of figures. I showed it in the quiz. It's by Michael Cohen and Will Motley, and it has a lot of statues in there. And actually these ones are also in there. And they are dated in this book, and I think that's correct, to 1800, 1780, 1800, 1810. So of course the exact dating of these kind of things is often very difficult because nobody was there, except maybe for Bob. Bob, were you there at the time?
Of course I was there. I was everywhere.
Yeah, Bob was there, so he can actually tell us more about it. So what we have here is a complete